Hey everybody, I am back with a new part for the Ascension Toolbox. So really excited about this. I have had the most glorious week last week. I hope you guys have really been taking everything in. It's been really exciting. I'm seeing a lot of the divine synchronicities that are happening and really being shown from a broader perspective, kind of the connection that's bringing all of us together at this time. And it's really exciting how this is all starting to unfold. I spent so much time in nature last week. I got so many new downloads and new big blocks of information, and I did a lot of healing and I had a lot of fun and it was wonderful. So I hope you guys have had just as great of a week. And if the energies were a little intense for you, I hope you found a little bit of relief this weekend, as things did kind of simmer just a little. Because starting today through Thursday morning, we are going to be getting hit with another huge Ascension Wave. So we did receive the last Ascension Wave last weekend on Mother's Day weekend, and it came in and really opened up this multifaceted way of communicating. You know, for a lot of people, they're beginning to hear things they never heard before. They're beginning to tap into higher levels of telepathy. You know, some people are beginning to channel or hear light code differently, and you just really feel this opening within the body. And that has been so cool. And I love hearing everybody's experiences. I've been getting so many comments and so many emails, and I love hearing them. And I do read all the emails. I just don't have time to respond to all of them. So I send you guys all my love and appreciation for being here and doing this with me. But so we have this really, really large energy wave that's going to start moving in. You'll probably start to feel it a lot more later on this evening. You may be receiving some more intense proofs of ascension. So you might feel some pressure in your third eye. You might feel some pressure in the crown. Some people are having a lot of sensation over the heart center. For me, I'm feeling it a lot in my solar plexus, and I can kind of feel that excitability. It's a little bit of anxiety feeling, and you know, after a while, you start to get used to the sensations that are moving in and through you and around you. So if you're dealing with intense sensations, due to the ascension energies, drink water and move your body. Even if you're absolutely exhausted, the best thing you could do is go out and take a 15-minute walk if you have these types of things going on. You have to move your body to let this new energy kind of find its way through you and navigate whatever's stagnant out of the way. So rest, absolutely. That was me all day yesterday. I took like a 2.5 hour nap, and then I think I was in bed by like 8 o'clock. There is no shame in my game. I don't normally take naps, and I generally don't sleep a whole lot. So, you know, when stuff like that comes in and I have just this unending exhaustion, I do not fight it whatsoever, and I do not care what time it is. I know it's for the best, and I know it's the reasons I feel so good today is because I listened yesterday when my body needed some extra rest, and just actually went through with it. So if you need the extra rest, take it. Make sure you're drinking your water. Make sure you're moving your body. There's tons of tools. That's the whole reason for this Ascension Toolbox Series, is to get all of the tools that I use that have helped me on this journey to opening up more to these higher vibrations and different vibrations too. You know, that's something I'm going to talk about in one of my blog posts on my website. is a lot of times we think that we just need to get to this high vibration and that we can meet and connect with these other beings, but it's not that you have to just reach this high vibration, it's that you're matching a certain frequency. So for instance, if you're going to channel in a being that's at a technological frequency, you have to place yourself in that technological frequency to start to download that information. So removing whatever belief system you have in the way that can allow that in is how you get to that frequency. It's not necessarily that you have to go higher. Sometimes it's that you have to clear a certain blockage that you have created in this lifetime, or a belief system that you've created in this lifetime that is holding you back from that sort of communication. And I'll get more into that in my blog that I'm going to post. I'm going to sit down and write that up today, and I know that there's going to be some really cool channeling coming in with that, because this entire epiphany around matching vibrations and frequencies of other beings so that we can communicate is a huge shift that I'm going through right now, because I'm transitioning from, I'm in the middle of a transition right now from channeling Auxil into channeling a Pleading Collective that's been coming in. So this transition is very interesting to me, because Auxil is a 13th dimensional being, and the Pleiadians tend to be 9th dimensional beings. So it's not that I have to go higher to communicate with Auxil or the Pleiadians. I should be able, if I'm already channeling at this 13th dimension level, I should be able to just bring in the Pleading Collective right away. But what they're saying is that there's a shift in these blockages that we are needing to have, because the Pleading Collective is more heart-centered and more on a clearer vibration of love, and they had just recently cleaned out my heart for this process, because I was holding on to guilt and shame and some other things from other lifetimes and other times in this life where I was kind of clinging to that and didn't really realize it. So we had to kind of move that out of the way. So it's not always going to be that you have to get your vibration higher. It may just be that you have to tune into something that maybe you're not used to tuning into. So that's going to be a really cool thing. I'm really excited to share all this, because this is brand new. So if you are dealing with these waves, these ascension waves, just make sure that you're using your tools and doing what you know to do. You don't have to sit in that energy and just be like, man, this sucks. You can really pull these things, these tricks out of your magic hat, and you can navigate your way through this ascension energy way easier. It doesn't have to be a hot mess of emotion and energy and whatever. So I just want to put that out there. Today, with the Ascension Tool Box Series, what I want to talk to you guys about is one of my favorite things on earth: crystals. I use them for everything. And I'm sure there's more of a technical side to the description of the crystals and their uses. But I'm just going to give you the information that I have, that I use, that I know. And you guys who know more or have more technical definitions and uses, or your own uses, feel free to put it in the comments, because I'm sure there's going to be people that want to hear what you have to say. But I'm going to go through today and kind of talk to you about the things that I use them for. So the first thing to really know, that I believe is really important to know about using crystals, is that they're amplifiers, and they're very strong amplifiers. So they are going to resonate to whatever frequency is closest to their frequency, but they are programmable, and this is why it's really good in the beginning to make sure that you are clearing out your crystals. I don't necessarily charge my crystals. I do here and there, and we'll get into why I do that in just a second. But the main thing that I really do is I clear them, because unless they were used in a moment where I had this extremely high energy, I'm not going to want to carry any of that around, because I'm new every day, right? We're new every day. So they can amplify the energy around them. And they are programmable, which can be good and bad. And this is why when you're using crystals, you be very diligent with them, because they are very strong conductors of energy. So they can amplify your mood. If I'm in a space and I'm a little... maybe I start my day off great, which is awesome, but then something a year ago or whatnot, something would happen throughout the day that would like kind of knock me off of my high flying vibration. And then I would start to maybe worry or care too much about what somebody else was thinking, and feeling bad about myself, or maybe feeling insecure about something or whatever it was. I would notice that if I had that crystal on me, it would intensify it. It would make those feelings come up more and more and more. So be on top of your game with your crystal. Use it with intent. Whenever I use I carry them on me quite frequently. I will purposefully buy yoga pants that have little pockets in the front that I can stick my crystals in. I know those pockets are made for keys for most people, but for me, they're made for the crystals, right? So put them, wherever. I used to like stick them in my shoes when I would go for a walk, if I had a couple that were kind of flat or whatever, and I would use it when I was knowing that I was going to be feeling good and that my energy would be ramping and ramping and ramping up. And then when I would get home, I would take it out and I would set it somewhere with the intent on it carrying over that vibration for me, right? Perfect way to use it. But they are programmable. So know that if you have a crystal on you and you start off in a really good space and then maybe you start to dip, the energy is not only just going to be amplified by the crystal at that time, but it's also going to soak into the crystal a little bit. So the next time you go to grab that crystal, it may not be as good as amplifying that really good energy, because you're going to have the lingering energies that you carried from before that may be a lower vibration. So it's really, really good to start practicing clearing your crystals. And there's a couple of ways you can do it. So you can clear them with sage, which a lot of people do. I like to hold my crystals just in my fingers, and I'll like go bring it back and forth through the smoke and just set my intention on cleaning the crystal out back to its like natural state, right? So you can do it that way. You can also clear them really well with crystal singing bowls. I have a heart chakra singing bowl that I use to like clear my whole house with, and I use that to clear my crystals too, and that works really, really well. You can also, if you have a big geode, you can stick your crystals on the geode and that will naturally charge them, clean them. I mean, it'll do all of it, because crystals are made to be in a cluster. So they can really start to get their natural flow of energy going when they're all together clustered. That's why I always, too, when I clean them, I always kind of clean them together. I've heard people say that you shouldn't have your crystals within like 4 feet of each other. That has never been true for me. I'll have an amethyst in one pocket and a rose quartz in the other, and I never feel, they say that it can bring up like disharmony. I've never experienced that, so I don't believe that's true for me, and you can choose whether or not that is true for you by just trying it out. So my favorite way to clear my crystals, and I do this in my crystal bowls, my geodes, my little pocket crystals, my meditation crystals, I put them out in the backyard, and I make sure that they're like on the actual grass and on the ground. And I put them in a place where they'll receive sunlight, and I'll leave it there for like 12 hours. So the ground itself, the crystals will take back to the vibration of the earth, which is pretty much their natural state. And then while being in the sun will kind of charge them and refill them up, and it tends to make them a lot more powerful. So then when you go to use one of the crystals, make sure you're in a high vibration, because if you're in a vibration where you could be teetering just a little bit, once they're charged by the sun, their amplification power is a lot stronger. So I've noticed that I'll get a little bit of anxiety if I'm using a freshly cleansed crystal, and maybe I'm just not in my purest form, my purest state mentally. So just be aware of these. I do recommend, I do say that kind of with a grain of salt, the whole, you want to make sure you're in a good place with your crystals and all of that, because I do think it's beneficial to have them with you all the time. When I would have them in my pocket, obviously they would be strong and they would be amplifying things, but they also, like, you begin to create a relationship with them. It's like an energetic relationship. I don't know how else to understand it. I believe that the crystals are actually a living thing. There's energy within the crystals that vibrate, and they really do begin to have like an understanding of you after a while. And so I'll carry them around in my pockets, and if I start to get that anxious feeling, I can pull them out and put them in my hands, and the energy seems to flow very differently. So I think there are times when the crystal may be on you and pocketed on you somewhere, and I don't know how to explain it, because I really don't know how it works. I don't know if like there's some sort of communication between the higher self and the crystal or what, but what I have experienced is that if I need the crystal, I will be intuitively guided to pull it out of my pocket and hold it for some reason. So this could manifest for you in any way, but you do start to build a relationship with them, and they help you and they guide you. They, in the ancient Egyptian days and the days of Atlantis and Lemuria and all of that, I mean, crystals were everywhere. I mean, they were used for everything and all healing modalities, and they were, even now, they're used in electronics and some things that people are putting together. They will use clear quartz in these things to conduct energy. So there really is something to it. So citrate is one that I like to carry around for abundance. That's not one that I tend to use because it's just never been a huge focus of mine, but I have put it in my car before, and I have carried it around in my wallet before, or my purse. So you can do that, or have it sitting in like a corner of your room where maybe you do some at home work. And that can help you in that way. And then I would carry them in my pockets, and I have a crystal quartz hanging from my mirror in my car. And there's just a whole wide variety of uses for the crystals. And my favorite one by far is to meditate. So in the ways that I like to meditate with them, I like to hold them in my hands. When I channel, I will always have two crystals in my hands. It gives my hands something to do because they feel like they need to release energy when I'm doing my channeling. So I kind of rotate the crystal in my hand, and I just kind of spin it around and spin it around. But they also help me. They amplify the energy that I'm getting just enough that things that normally come through in a very subtle way just come through a little bit more clearly, and I'll be able to understand it a little bit more. So if you are in the beginning stages of your channeling or reading tarot, or anything where you are working on communicating with the other side, I would definitely use crystals. I think they can provide a lot of assistance during the communication, because when you first start to communicate, it's very subtle. It's a sensitivity that you're opening up to. and anything to help amplify that so you can get more clear and concise information, to me is always beneficial. So when I meditate, I like to sit with one in each hand. And sometimes I mainly work with just clear crystal quartz, but sometimes I will use some other crystals, which I'll talk about in a minute. But when I'm meditating, I like to use the points where they're flat on one end and then they come up, they call them wands, or points. They call them points also. The smaller ones are points. But the way I put them in my hands is I put them in my hands to direct the flow of energy. So in my receiving hand, which is going to be your dominant hand, like the hand that you write with, I always, that's your giving hand. Sorry, that's not your receiving. Your giving hand is the hand that you are dominant in. So the hand that you write with and the hand that you eat with, that's going to be your giving hand. So I will put the point in that palm with the point facing away from me so that the energy is just flowing out and flowing out. And then in the other hand, the receiving hand, your non-dominant hand, I have the point facing up into my palm so that that energy is coming in and it's coming in amplified. 9 times out of 10, I definitely go with the crystal quartz just because I feel like it's more pure, and it's more discernible when that particular crystal is off, to me anyway. So, and I like to know when my crystals are off because then I won't use them. I'll clean them or I'll know that it's time to get rid of them. You do outgrow your crystals. So if you're using one for a while and it's just not feeling right to you anymore, don't go put it in a corner on a shelf somewhere because you paid for it and it's a crystal and it looks pretty. Give it away. You can gift them to somebody. Or you can just throw it away, or you can go put it outside. But if a crystal is no longer matching your energy, don't keep it around and don't keep it in your home. I don't think anything bad is going to happen per se, but I just know that when you are no longer a vibrational match to something, crystals included, it goes against everything that your soul is trying to do here in this life to keep maintaining that energy around you. So it's best if you just let it go. And it's perfectly fine to gift people your crystals because 9 times out of 10, you're going to intuitively pick up on who to give it to. And you harness so much of your own love and energy into that crystal that to them, it's going to feel like a very beautiful gift, even though the energy to you might be feeling dead. There's no like black magic stuff going on there. It's nothing like that. They are amplifiers and harnessers, whatever, of energy. And that's really all that is. But they help, and they help a lot. But don't hang on to something that's not for you anymore. Also, if you notice a crack in your crystal, it's time to get rid of it. A cracked crystal is not something that you want to gift, or a broken crystal, like if it breaks into a couple of pieces. That means that the energy inside the crystal itself has split, and it's time to either just return it back to the earth or toss it. So going back to the meditating with the crystals, putting the point away from you on the hand that you're giving energy out into the world, and then having the other point facing towards you, bringing that inflow of energy that you're trying to bring in from the world. This is a really good meditative practice, especially if you're feeling a little stagnant or maybe you're feeling some indecision in your life, and a lot of that is just the non-moving of energy. And most times, whenever you feel, I shouldn't say most times, all the time, when you feel stuck or stagnant in your life, it is because you yourself are continuing to make the same choices over and over again. So all you're doing is, based on your thought patterns, recreating a manifestation, which makes you feel stuck, like nothing around you is changing. And it's only because you're not changing. So once you're able to begin to shift your own thought patterns and in your own indecisiveness or what have you, you'll be able to break free of that energy that feels stuck. So I want to go through a couple of the stones that I use. Fluorite is one of my absolute favorites, especially rainbow fluorite. It is typically a darker green with some purple in it, intertwined in it, sometimes some gray and some white kind of mixed in it. And it is a very beautiful and powerful stone. So this stone actually has like this protector energy of whoever it is around. So if you're hanging onto the stone and using it frequently, it'll begin to ward off negativity and stress and anything that just doesn't really fit your vibration or the vibration that it's used to. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I have tons of these. I have them in my car. They're at home, on my coffee table, in the bedroom. It's just a really great stone to have around, and I love to meditate with it. It's actually one that I tend to carry around with me a lot more than the others. So while I meditate a lot more with the clear quartz, I would say that I carry the fluorite with me a lot more than normal. Clear quartz we talked about. It's just an amplifier. It'll protect you from negativity. It can amplify your spiritual process. It's just a beautiful all-around amplifier. The other one that I work with a lot is rose quartz. Rose quartz will bring in a sense of sensuality, love, peace and harmony. When things start to get a little stressful, it'll really start to calm energies down around you, which I can really appreciate at times. So a good place to keep rose quartz would be like in your bathroom, and by your bathtub, if you're ever in a situation where you're having some issues with a romantic partner, filling up the room that you are in, that you spend the majority of the time with that romantic partner in. So if it's like you guys are cooking and in the kitchen more, or you're in the living room watching TV or whatever, filling up that room with more rose quartz will kind of help settle any tension energies and just bring back a sense of calm and peace and love into the room. Amethyst is another one of my favorites. All of the geodes that I have are amethyst, and it's just because it's a very healing rock. It will calm your ascension proofs that are showing up. It's really good at stress relief. So if you have a stressful job, put some at your desk or put them in your pockets when you go to work. It really helps increasing your intuition and guidance through spiritual practices. It also helps, if somebody's having nightmares, I'll instruct them to put it underneath their bed. If somebody is sick, I will literally put it all around their house. It's just such a great crystal for healing. And it too has protective qualities. So it'll protect you from negativity. It kind of like shields off other energies. So, it's really, really awesome. One of the things that I do when I like to do the meditation with the points. I like to do those with the amethyst and the rose quartz. So for about a month in January, I was going through some heavy healing of my childhood. And I was really learning for the first time in my life what it meant to love myself. We're taught that self-love is, getting a massage and making sure you eat right and work out and taking bubble baths and like all of these external examples of what self-love is. And I think I took to that as a young girl, and never really understood the true meaning of loving yourself. You know, I was never able to put up healthy boundaries with people. I was never able to accept myself for who I was. You know, there's just so many facets of self-love that don't revolve around yoga and eating tofu. So it was like this huge revelation, and nothing against yoga and tofu at all. I'm just saying, I just had this huge epiphany of what self-love really meant in January. And while it knocked me off my feet for about 3 weeks, when I was able to pull myself back together with what I had learned and what I had released, I had this whole new understanding of what it means to love myself. And at that time, I was practicing my crystal meditations frequently. And in my giving hand, I would put rose quartz, because I wanted to make sure I was sending out love. Love to the universe, love to the people around me, love to the room that I was in, love to the city that I was in. I was doing my best to project myself with love. And then in my hand that I would receive, I would hold an amethyst, because I knew I was healing. And I knew that I wanted protection from external forces at that time, from other people's energy at that time, because I felt so raw. And I was really in a place of discovery, and I needed to do it without external interference. But at the same time, I wanted to bring in that compassion, that, okay, you're healing. Bring in this love. Bring in the compassionate love, the understanding love, you know, for yourself for once, because my practices have always been so focused on other people. And at this point in my life, it had really begun to shift. And I think that was the first time I really realized that all of the gifts that I have been given with channeling and with the light language, I think it was the first time I had ever realized that if I don't use these for me first, that I have nothing to give anybody. And that was right around the time that I started the Instagram and the YouTube, because I knew that the gifts, I knew how to finally use my gifts for real. It wasn't like, okay, so I'm going to do this reading and I'm going to put this up on YouTube and we're just going to see what happens. It was like, no, Crystal, you're going to take this light language and you're going to use it on yourself. And then you're going to make a video and you're going to put it out there for whoever else needs it. But you're going to take care of you first. You're going to fill your cup up first. You're going to heal yourself first. And that was the big game changer. And crystals played a huge role in that. So if you guys are going through ascension symptoms, and you're dealing with a lot of that right now, and maybe it's starting to get uncomfortable, the fluorite and the amethyst are going to be great. They are going to be amazing. If you're working on healing self-judgment and self-worth, and coming into that very loving space, it would be really awesome for you to work with the amethyst and the rose quartz. And if you feel like you're on the brink of mastering this awakening, you know, if you're coming into that space, it would be in your best bet, your best, most advantageous for you, would be really to work with the crystal quartz, because then you're really going to amplify your own vibration and you're really going to be able to project these vibrations out to other people. And if that's the level you're at, that's what you should be doing. That's what we should all be doing. So heal yourself first and then extend yourself to others. Those are the crystals I use, and that's what I do with them. And I hope this helps you guys. I hope you guys continue to have a good week. I've got some more stuff coming this week. I'll be a little bit more vocal this week than I was last week. And I'm really excited about everything that's to come. Get yourself in alignment. Do your meditations. Move your body. Drink your water. The next couple of days are going to be huge. Huge energy. And we'll touch base soon and see how everybody's been doing. Okay? I hope this helps. I hope y'all enjoy it, and we'll be talking soon. Love you. Bye.